I think one way or the other, we need this Activision stuff to finally come to a conclusion. It's pretty clear to me that Microsoft is going to really continue to fight this thing, despite the fact that it now looks like the FTC is filing to actually block the acquisition. Basically, we all know that they were suing to stop the acquisition, but now, according to this, it looks like they are actually following an injunction to block it for a couple of reasons. And we're going to go over this real quick. Now, this isn't the end of anything by any means. I think this is going to be a very interesting topic of discussion. It is strange to me that this is happening when you look at all the areas that this deal has been approved, and then we look at it and we look at the FTC and the CMA, and now it's blocked. And there's different reasons that people are talking about this, but I wanted to go ahead and get into it. The FTC filing an injunction to block Microsoft acquisition. Microsoft has responded at the FTC for a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction. According to CNBC, the FTC is going to seek a court order to stop the $70 billion deal going through before the July 18th deadline. In December, the FTC announced plans to sue Microsoft in a bid to block the acquisition, which the regulator argues would actually enable the company to suppress competitions, which is so crazy to me, considering in its own home country, Xbox is getting outsold 2-1. So I'm not sure how that's going to suppress anybody, and Nintendo hasn't had Call of Duty or Activision stuff on there, and I don't know how long. So the action is set to bring the case before its internal administrative law judge in August, when an initial decision to block the deal could be made through a trial-like process. Seeking an injunction to temporarily block the deal from being completed next month would enable this process to go ahead. So again, the European Commission approved Microsoft's acquisition in May. The ruling arrived shortly after the UK's competition regulator decided to prevent the deal, which claimed it would stop the acquisition from happening globally. But Microsoft has fought back against that by stating they would just go around it by pulling Activision games from the UK, probably by means of having a distributor be out there and have somebody else distribute the games and things like that. So, again, nice to see that Microsoft is out there doing their thing, and that this is looking like a very positive thing, despite the fact that on the outside it looks negative. And you go, why is this positive? Well, this gets Microsoft in front of the judge quicker than it would have otherwise. So the update was the FTC has filed a complaint with the U.S. District Court in Northern District of California seeking a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction. Both a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction are necessary because Microsoft and Activision have represented that they may consummate the acquisition at any time without any further notice to the Commission, the FTC said in its filing. So basically what happened was this. Microsoft let it be known that they were going to close on the deal without having approval from the CMA or the FTC. So that made the FTC flinch and file this. Microsoft looks like they might have made some headway with the CMA, which could have prompted this, and so they're doing this. Now, Lena Khan and the FTC have zero case against Microsoft. Zero. And all these other places that have approved the deal is factoring in that and into the favor of Microsoft. So, again, a preliminary injunction is necessary to maintain the status quo and prevent interim harm to competition during the pendency of FTC's administrative proceedings to determine whether the proposed acquisition violates U.S. antitrust laws. A temporary restraining order is necessary to maintain the status quo while the courts decide whether to grant the requested preliminary injunction. Responded to the move, Microsoft President Brad Smith said in a statement, and I quote, "Today's action by the FTC to file suit in our Activision case in federal court should accelerate the decision-making process. This benefits everyone. We always preferred a constructive and amicable path and governments, but have confidence in our case and look forward to presenting it." So again, they really, really made the FTC flinch, and I think that after they win that, the CMA, if they're still holding out, I feel like they're just going to go ahead and you might go, well, that's crazy. They're not going to pull stuff from the UK. Listen, they don't actually have to pull anything from the UK. You get a distributor. I'll give you an example, and this is just a stupid example, but let's just say maybe they're good friends with EA, so maybe they let EA distribute Activision games over there, or maybe something as silly as they maybe something as silly as like 505 Games or some games company over there, right? That's the distributor of Call of Duty over there instead of Microsoft or Activision. So it's not the way that people think, right? When it comes down to this stuff, it's not exactly the way that people think. Oh, well, this definitely is the end of that because listen, Microsoft is not going to let one place, and mark my words, they're going to definitely win the FTC appeal. Now, the CMA one is a little bit different, but I think that there's definitely going to be something that people see before too long where, if they win this FTC deal, which they should, they're just going to go ahead and skip the CMA thing. And that's what they should do, I'm excited to see what the future holds for Game Pass and Xbox and for all of gaming when, when all this stuff happens. Look, Phil, he's got to understand that, gamers need both exclusive content, but not only do they need exclusive content, but they need, other stuff. And the reason why people go, well, Game Pass is really trailing off. Well, listen, you start putting stuff like Diablo and Call of Duty and, all that kind of stuff into Game Pass, and I think we start to see a trend where it grows again. We were all coming out of lockdowns. More people were gaming than ever. And that really made it easy for them to go out there and make sure that, hey, we can go ahead and, try and get Call of Duty into Game Pass. Now, that name itself is a little bit besmudged right now, but we never know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe some new blood owning Activision and Call of Duty will make things that much better. But I don't know. It's like, what do you guys think? I mean, I know everybody, including myself, is so sick and tired of hearing about, Activision and Call of Duty and this kind of thing. But the fact that the FTC has officially filed an injunction to block the deal, I mean, don't you think that's crazy given the circumstances? I mean, it is. Honestly, insanely crazy. I just don't get it. And the funny thing is, once this is all finished or whatever, one way or the other, I'm almost 100% certain that Sony is planning to buy Square. That probably prompted Square dumping their Western studios and IP last year, but Sony can't exactly do that, buy a publisher with all these studios and IP when they're bitching a fit about Microsoft doing that, right? And when they're in the first place, Microsoft is in fifth place. So, I mean, it really doesn't make sense. Make it make sense, folks. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you all have a great day. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, crap gamer 'em up, crap gamer out.